So today we're going to be talking about cellular respiration and how one molecule of glucose leads us to about 30 molecules of ATP. So cellular respiration is the process in which our cells are able to break down glucose and save that energy into ATP molecules. And this includes glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, electron transport chain, and oxidative phosphorylation. So we're going to start with glycolysis, which is the breakdown of glucose, one glucose molecule into two pyruvate molecules. This includes 10 steps, but for today, we're only going to focus on the steps that yield ATP production, use up ATP, or yield NADH. So step one of glycolysis uses up the first ATP molecule when it converts glucose into G6P with the help of the enzyme hexokinase. Then step three of glycolysis turns F6P into FBP with the help of phosphofructokinase, and that uses up the second ATP molecule, so we're left with -2 ATP molecules in the process. In step six, GAP is turned into 1,3-BPG with the help of the enzyme GAPDH. At this point, we're dealing with two of those molecules, GAP, because the step prior to this, the molecule splits up into GAP and DHAP, and then DHAP is later converted into GAP by the enzyme triose phosphate isomerase so that it can continue in the path of glycolysis. So we're going to be doubling up everything from here on out. So this reaction yields NADH, but it yields two of those because we're dealing with two molecules of GAP and two molecules of 1,3-BPG. So two NADH molecules yields 5 ATP molecules. In step 7, 1,3-BPG is turned into 3PG with the help of the enzyme PGK. This yields two more ATP molecules. And then in step 10, which is the last step of glycolysis, we're left with phosphophenyl pyruvate, which is then converted to two molecules of pyruvate by the help of pyruvate kinase, and then we're left with two more ATP molecules. So by the end of glycolysis, we have 7 ATP molecules that were produced from this pathway. So before we can enter the citric acid cycle, we first have to convert pyruvate into acetyl coenzyme A, and this is done by the pyruvate dehydrogenase multi-enzyme complex. And in the process of converting pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A, we are yielded another two molecules of NADH. So that leaves us with another 5 ATP molecules. So now we have a total of 12 ATP molecules. Now we can enter the citric acid cycle where the acetyl group of acetyl coenzyme A will be turned into carbon dioxide. So in step 3 of the citric acid cycle, isocitrate is turned into alpha ketoglutarate with the help of isocitrate dehydrogenase, and this once again yields two molecules of NADH. Then in step 4, alpha ketoglutarate is turned into succinyl coenzyme A with the help of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. And now we're up to 22 ATP molecules. Then in step 6, succinate is turned into fumarate with the help of succinate dehydrogenase, which yields two molecules of FADH2. Finally, in step 8, malate dehydrogenase converts malate into oxaloacetate, where the cycle can start all over again, and this yields us with two molecules of NADH, which leaves us with a grand total of 30 ATP molecules. After these pathways, NADH and FADH2 will be involved in a series of reactions that will end up driving the synthesis of ATP, which is why NADH and FADH2 is able to yield ATP molecules.